Hello, welcome to Conversations on Transformation. My name is Ochuku, and in this series we're going to be exploring and discussing the content and the concepts around mentorship. In Transformer World, we just finished a 6-month-long mentorship program called Adulam, where we came with young people with a vision and a goal to equip them and fit them for transformative service. In scripture in 1 Samuel chapter 22, the Bible talks about David, who withdrew from Gath to a cave called Adulam. And from that cave, we understand that young men, young people, the Bible says they were discontent, they were in debt. They came to David at the cave of Adulam. And as you read the scriptures, they came out of that cave as mighty men of David who did exploits and changed their world. So in today's episode, we will be having a conversation between a mentor and a mentee from the Adulam program. We're going to travel with them as we understand or learn the experience they had, both as mentors and as mentee, the highs and the lows, the lessons and the points that they feel are germane to share that they go forward with. It will be an eye-opening experience, and we desire that you walk with them and see what values they could get, as we think we saw in the cave of Adulam. So the conversation begins after this break.
What happens in church every Sunday is extraordinary. The word is preached, people worship God, there is repentance, reconciliation. Nothing comes a close second to that. But what must we do for that happens once a week to happen every day out there in the marketplace?
Right now, nations are being transformed. Cities are being reached, governments are being reclaimed, and people in authority are inviting Jesus right into the heart of the marketplace. Education is being reformed, communities are being renewed, and businesses are being re-energized. Listen to what is happening as ordinary believers bring the presence and power of God to the marketplace.
There is an Ekklesia rising up in Nigeria, and that Ekklesia will bring the leaven of the kingdom to business, education, government, all the spheres, until the glory of God will be flowing all over Nigeria, and Nigeria will become God's Nigeria.
Dami, good evening.
Good evening, sir. Happy to be with you here tonight.
Yes, so you're welcome. And I believe we're going to have a good conversation.
Definitely.
Maybe where to start would be to ask you, at the inception of the relationship, this mentee-mentor relationship, how was it with you?
I think it was a very fantastic opportunity Transform Our World Nigeria gave to me through Adulam. When I first found out that you were a mentor and you were a pastor, I was like, wow. So I was in a haste to really know about you. So I went through a magazine from a TOW and I saw your profile there and your wife, and I was like, okay, this person's a pastor, because I also wanted to become a pastor.
Okay.
So I remember a time I came to see you and I asked how long you have been in ministry. I was just trying to imagine, myself. I was like, okay, 30 years. Okay, what would it be for me 30 years from now? It was just intriguing, getting to know that, I have a mentor and he's also a pastor, and he's living the life that I will want to live in. So it was a fantastic privilege for me. I was excited.
Yeah, actually, I think it's always like that, and this is the hallmark of this Adulam program. The fact that it's giving you people an opportunity to, interact and see the future before you go into it. I can imagine that for me, I didn't, of course, have this kind of opportunity. And I possibly started out, you are even like, maybe similar really. I had always known that I'm called to be a pastor, but I've also always known that I'm going to be a professional. I'm going to be in the marketplace. So it was always like, okay, so how is this going to be? So generally, I was working and I was serving in the church, and that was how, before you know it, things, begins to happen, and here we are. Years have gone by.
think I was surprised when I found out that you were working, because I know that you are provincial pastor of Redemption Ministries, and I know that that's a lot, being provincial pastor, not just in a parish, but you are pastoring pastors under you. And I'm really keen to understand how the entire system works, because I know that pastors get really busy. Just the little experience I've had, being a fellowship president in Baptist Student Fellowship and in Gen Christian Campus Fellowship in my school days, I can't even imagine how it will be adding marketplace experience to being a pastor at provincial level. So it was up till this moment. I think that's still very fascinating. I really like to know how you're able to combine the day's activity, keep family, keep pastoring, and then keep the professional life at the office.
Well, I think, of course, we cannot separate the effect of the grace of God in this thing. Because for me, I've always had passion to serve God from my childhood, from since I gave my life to Christ. And from there on, I know that I have a calling to love people and help get them better. So, and of course, I started in engineering before going into other area in my profession. So it was just like you. I was in campus fellowship, I was in leadership, I was in corpus fellowship, I was in leadership. Okay, maybe corpus fellowship was where I kind of began to take it like big scale, because then I served full time with the corpus fellowship. Okay. And there was nothing else I did in that 1 year than to teach Bible, help people, young convert, grow, and so on and so forth. And then I finished, I got a job, I started serving in a church, I started serving in some, interdenominational fellowship, still in leadership. I've been in leadership in Christian, just from being a student to, so it was coming naturally. So now that I was working before I became a pastor, and before I became the assembly pastor of my church, and did that for like another 7 years before I became the provincial pastor for the Southwest, of Nigeria, for my church, for my denomination. So I think the grace of God cannot be emphasized and underestimated. It's been the grace of God. It's been the help of God. And of course, wisdom in knowing how to prioritize things and getting on.
Oh. I'm also hoping that I experience the same grace so that I can, manage. But meeting you, I think some of the conversations we've had, I just ask a question and then you throw insights. It can help, like leverage on wisdom. I remember when you were asking me of my church, my home church, my interactions with my pastor, what my pastor thinks, how I think about the church, and how I'm going to incorporate, my future and my big idea plan with the church. So that simple conversation, not more than 3 minutes, but it's helped with a lot of wisdom in, some questions that never occurred to me. I think I was able to figure out, okay, this is what to do. I remember you also told me to go to my pastor. I have to use wisdom, to manage the operations in church so that you are able to keep balance with where you're coming from, and you're able to keep being, under authority and being in right leadership. But, some of those things, being a young child now, I think probably you have helped me, avoid mistakes that maybe you would have made and realized, but I don't have to experience those mistakes anymore, because I had a mentor that could just go ahead of me and check the way the pathway is, and also give me feedback and be like, oh, don't come through this way. Don't come through this way. Just like Google Map is doing for us on the roads today. So
The thing with mentorship and mentee relationship is that it's like having someone, it's like going through a journey and following somebody that have gone on that road before.
Yes,
Typically, definitely. When I drive on a road that I'm not familiar with, I'm extra careful. Or like when I'm coming over it again, I know where what is. So mentor-mentee relationship has that benefit. The fact that, the person is talking from what he has seen. And for me, I also think that I've had many years of guiding people, even by the grace of God, even guiding my colleague, my friends. I remember when I was younger, that was days when people were starting ministries, and a lot of my friends were going to start ministries, and I was always telling them, mind the way you go about it, mind the thing that you say to people, apply wisdom in understanding. You see, this is the benefit that you people have, the fact that you can envision the future, you can think about your big idea. That's why I could be telling you that, look, okay, now that you have these ideas, now that you have these visions, it's going to impact the way, people that you have been working with,
yes,
how they are going to respond to it. So it's important for you to be able to know, okay, I want to still be relevant to these people. I still appreciate their role over my life, but I also have a vision of where I'm going. So that's the benefit of this.
Some people, may not be able to progress, with ideas, as life is advancing and evolving. Just like, so there's a concept we're given during Adulam as the training sessions were going on. We're taught about the rocket, and when the rocket's about to take off, it has a lot of fuel tanks around it and a lot of luggage and heavyweight machineries with it. But by the time it gets to the orbit, it begins to let go, because the destination of the rocket itself, it cannot really go with. Not that those ones were not important, but they have served their purpose.
Their purpose,
yeah. So I think also in the mentorship journey, we just need to realize, like you have helped me realize, that some of these fuel tanks that have helped you boost, by the time you get to the orbit, it's just natural to, begin to let them go. And sometimes it's difficult with attachment, but when we have counsel from, voices you respect, you know that, okay, this voice is a voice of wisdom that is speaking. I also remember a concept that was taught during Adulam. Bishop T.D. Jakes was saying that he was 45 and that he wished he had the wisdom he had in the strength he had in his 20s with the wisdom he had in his 40s. So I think mentorship is like a way to mitigate that challenge. So you can have a wisdom of a provincial pastor and yet just starting out in ministry. So I think that's one of the advantages that mentorship helps to do for me, and the relationship has been worthwhile. For the past 5 months now, I think the relationship has been worthwhile. Anytime we speak, I always do my best to take notes, to ask the questions that are most pondering to me. I will still ask more, definitely, because it's a journey that takes time to progress. But definitely, as challenges come up, some things you didn't think about before, But I think majorly, you have helped me think about things that I know that I would have not thought about for at least the next 3-4 years.
It's something that we all need to learn. Mentees need to learn in the sense that knowing how to relate with people that have been a support for them, people from whom they have learned before. Also, elders also need to learn how to release, people, to realize that, look, in the course of the journey of this person, it can't be the same way. That's what I was trying to say to you, that there will be people who can't see that, who can't understand that, but with wisdom, with humility, and with the Spirit of God, one is able to negotiate it.
Hi guys, I'm Desmond. I'm a research assistant for Benel Energy Resources. Transform My World Nigeria has really impacted my life. I recall my first encounter was with Mr. Ochukwu Eriwo. He invited us for a prayer evangelism program here in Lagos, Nigeria. For me, the takeaway is the fact that as youth, I am to be an agent of transformation wherever I find myself, even in the workplace. How that labor is worship, the things that I do, the analysis I do, God can actually use it to transform Nigeria and make the world that we live a better place.
So, Pastor Yemi, considering my big idea, I have a mentorship group already, and I mentor quite a number of people. And I've told you about the Journey Inc. that I'm putting together. I have training there, there's mentorship, there's a book club, and there are quite a number of things we are doing. One of the peculiar things that stood out for me was the fact that you're a pastor, and then you have been mentoring people for long. For some of the panelists I spoke with, I don't think anybody understood or synchronized with my idea as much as you, probably because it's something we share in common. So I'd just like to ask on that basis, how do you see, being a mentor to different people for many years now? What will you say is the benefit? Because from my own experience, I can't talk about any benefit yet. I think it's more of work, it's more of strain, it costs finances, it costs time, it costs effort, and I'm the one just giving out myself. But I have joy in giving out myself. But I know that definitely along the line, at one point or the other, maybe you have benefits to share. That maybe I can look forward to that. Okay, there may come a time where this thing can actually, So what are the benefits you will say that for 20 plus years of mentoring people that you can point out as benefits of mentorship?
Yeah, you pack so many things into one. Number one is the fact that in mentoring people, in supporting people, in helping people to get better, most of the time you will be the one giving and giving and giving. And so the first question is that how do I keep getting, and this giving is not just in spiritual terms, in physical terms, in financial terms, So one of the ways is that, one of the things I'm imagining you are thinking might be, how do I keep getting what to give?
Yes.
Okay? And number one is that there has to be a program to it. First of all, the people you are mentoring, God will give you the grace. God will give you what you need to be, because God brought them into your life, and God has put what they need, into you, so it will be available. With respect to things like finance, you might need to be able to also find a means to be able to earn, some form of, for example, for me, I work, I had a career, I have a family, because these things goes, your wife in the future will come into it to join you. We have means by which we are able to do that. God will give you that also, because it's something that you need. When God gives a vision, He makes a provision, so it will be there. And also, another thing might be to also find within what you do what can actually become a business, as it were. For us, we have something that we're doing. I work for government, but my wife is a private business person. So some of the things that we do, which she, teaches people about it, but it's also kind of bring income, as it were, in some of the things that they're doing. So that's so physically, spiritually, psychologically. It also, and I also like to say that because it's something you are called to do, you won't find it a strain. You won't find it a strain. That's what I discovered. I was speaking recently to somebody, and she asked me, "Oh, why was serving and you serve full time? Were you paid?" And interestingly, that was the first time I was realizing that it didn't even occur to me, that my fellow papas were being paid, but I wasn't being paid, because it was just recently. We served over 30 years ago. Wow. So there will be that, supply of the Spirit. I call it supply of the Spirit, for you to be able to do what you have to do.
Okay, sir. I think also I'd just like to throw this one in, by the side. One of the high points of Adulam for me was the breakout session on the relationship, and Miss Ima and Professor Japheth are the ones that took the segment for the ladies and for the guys. And someone like me that's delving towards ministry, my mom will not she keeps hitting the hammer on the relationship and on the wife, because I think the spouse is very important, has a very important role to play, especially when it's a work or a life that has to do with leading people and keep on giving to people. So I just want you to just help with a little insight on that. Personally, I'm not in a relationship, but I'm definitely sure that once I get to that junction, I will definitely seek your counsel. While I was at your house, I saw you and your wife going out together, went for a naming ceremony, and she was already tired, but her husband said, "Well, let's go," and she just went. Some women would have come up with a lot of excuses, but I don't know. Some people believe in our generation that those kind of women are finished. And some adults will say we are the ones that are not searching properly. Personally, I think everybody has gone through heartbreak and everybody has eaten breakfast. So now it's lunch, and then the experience, having a spouse. So what role do you think maybe a spouse can play in my own big idea and the importance? Maybe from your own story, I could also learn much, and it can give me insights too on how to do my finding.
Yeah, I think um, the, 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 the importance and the necessity of a good spouse in ministry can not be overemphasized. I see a lot of people come into ministry who know they are going to ministry and they search for a while like people that are, I don't know whether anybody can actually afford it, not to have a great support in a wife. So it's important for you to just trust God with all your heart, love what He loves. You can't afford to lean on your own understanding. You can't afford to just make it a search of the eyes only. You got to trust God. You got to trust Him that He will bring that person that will be a great support to you. And you'll be glad you did. Just trust God.
No, I can only pray that I'll have a wife like yours, because it was an amazing experience, seeing at her age and at your age, you guys doing the ministry together, and she's supporting the vision, as a woman should be helpmeet to a man. So I think it will be one of the tools that I wrote it on my 20-year plan, but it's something that I just have to trust God for. So also for my plan too, I have some business to just roll out so that the vision can be self-funded. It's an ecosystem, and the ecosystem would be able to sustain and propel itself. So that's the entire scope of my big idea. So I just, you can just throw light on what you think about the ecosystem, the business, and the non-for-profit. I had an issue that you cleared already, and Mr. Ochko also gave me some insights that there's something called groups, and I want to do a story about group of companies and holdings, because I didn't know that CAC allows a non-for-profit to be in alliance with a profit organization. I thought you have to run it as two totally different individual corporations. But that has helped already. We can just throw light on, what you think about the entire scope of
it's the thing is that, and we can't say it enough, the benefit of Adulam. Back in the days, people think that to be in ministry, you just don't think in terms of how do you earn money. Other people think that to be in the professional world, you can't think about ministry. But no, God has called us to be actually in the marketplace. The early church, the disciples were marketplace people. So it's important for anyone going into ministry to think in terms of, so how do I earn? I had a friend who, one of the things that he used to tell me, she was in ministry with her husband, and money was a lot of challenge. So when he knew that, he said, Remy, I see the way you're going to ministry, you need to be, she was kind of ahead of me, in marital things. So it's important for you to actually pay attention to the business side of your vision. Just like we said, it's an ecosystem, supporting each other, but paying attention. God is able to actually prosper us, financially. God is able to prosper us with divine idea, with divine download that will bring a lot of revenue, a lot of blessing that will propel the ministry side of our life, of your big idea. So it's important to pay attention to it, to trust God for it, to seek, good counsel in that area. Gone are the days when people think if you're in ministry, you don't think in terms of no. God is putting you in the market.
And Transform Our World has a central message. Labor is worship.
Yes.
And explains the marketplace ministry relating to the pulpit.
Yes.
Ministry.
The mind of God is actually that we should replicate what happened on Sunday, Monday through Friday, so that the whole world can be gained for Jesus.
I've adopted the TOW principles into my mentality and also into the ecosystem, and also my team members working with me. I'm trying to make sure all of them go through the TSP too. And I'll just highlight one of the very, very important things Adulam does, because of our age range, and many of us 3-4 years max out of school, 2 years, one of us was a copper. And when you come out of school, there's always this question of what next? I think Adulam is the easiest way to just answer. Once you just come out of school or you finish your service and you take Adulam, instantly that question of what next is answered. And for me currently, I think that question is answered for at least the next 20 years because of mission statements. So for the next 20 years, I already have a vision, I have a goal, and I'm spending all my effort to keep chasing it. And I have the guide, I have the people in place that I can keep networking to and keep communicating with to just ensure that I have the proper guide at different points to just make this vision a success.
Finally, maybe just to say that, like we say in Adulam, your big idea is actually not your idea. It's God's idea that He puts in your mind. So pursue it, have the faith to go after it, and see God, backing you up.
Thank you very much, sir. I'm very, very grateful to you. I'm grateful to Engineer Chukwero. I'm grateful to TOW Nigeria. I'm grateful to all our supporters and all our corporate sponsors for the privilege. And on behalf of the whole Adulam class of 2023, I want to say a very, very big thank you to all our trustees. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you to your wife, too.
Thank you.
Miss Tom. Thank you very much, everyone.
Welcome back. Wow, that was such an insightful experience. I believe you picked up issues, you picked up points, looking at how people look at different perspectives from the mentor and from the mentee. In the next episode, we'll be hearing from more of our Adulam mentees, what has changed for them, the lessons they've learned, the decisions they've made, and how they plan to plug all these points on their journey of transformation. This program has been brought to you by Transformer World Nigeria, a non-denominational group of Christian believers with a vision to see transformation come, and we think earnestly it will come by the hands of these young ones who are mentored in the ways of the Lord. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more videos. You can also follow us for updates on our social media platforms. So until we come your way next time, remember that you are the Ekklesia. Transformation is possible, so go and shine.